How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today, we're gonna look at an interesting upgrade to the RV. It's the new Fogatti RV Furnace. It's supposed to be more reliable, great efficiency, more control, features we've never seen in this type of RV furnace, along with quieter operation. So we have a lot to test out on this unit to see how it does. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. So now to start off, I made a list. I made a list of what Fogatti says this RV furnace can do, so that way we can test it out. Because while there's some similarities with other furnaces that are out there, the size, the shape, the BTU output, those are similar. This is supposed to be able to do some things that other RV furnaces cannot, some new features. Number one, this should be more reliable than your typical RV furnace. Number two, it's supposed to be efficient. Number three, we're supposed to have more control, more features, more settings that we don't have in other RV furnaces like this. So that's gonna really be interesting for the day-to-day actual use of this furnace. Next is flexibility in setup. So whether you want to use their thermostat or the thermostat system that already came in your RV. It's also supposed to have quieter operation, not as loud as other existing furnaces that are out there. And my overall thoughts of actually using the product and seeing how it works in the RV, because that's extremely important. But the first thing that I did notice that all that new stuff is now packed into basically the same footprint that we're used to inside the RV, which is good because then it is something that it can be upgraded to without as much concern about size and space and where it's going to be fitting. So now let's get to the first thing that was on our list, and that was reliability. And one of the first things that I noticed on here is that we don't have a cell switch, which is one of the number one things why furnaces stop working. So instead of a cell switch, we have this pressure switch that's on here, which should be a lot more reliable. So the cell switch is a safety device. If it doesn't get activated, the entire unit's not going to work. But a cell switch kind of does it in a strange way. Basically, it's looking to see if this motor is running, and you have two different things that it's operating. You have the blower for being able to force the air through the RV, that's going to be the heated air to heat the inside of the RV, and then you have your burn chamber, and it's going to run the air through that as well. The cell switch is going to be on the air distribution side, on the inside of the RV, and as long as that air gets moved enough to be able to push that cell switch down, it's going to let everything activate as long as it meets all the other requirements. But it's really a safety feature to make sure that the air is moving on the burn chamber side, because if that's not moving air, it can be very dangerous. So it's checking one side and assuming that it's going to be on the other. Compared to on this furnace, we have a pressure sensor that's connected to that burn chamber side, and it's not going to have air actually passing through it. That's one of the big things that usually make the cell switch fail, because it'll collect hair and dust, and then when gunk gets on there, it's not going to activate, and it's going to shut the whole thing down because you have a defective cell switch, or a cell switch that might even just need to be cleaned. So removing that cell switch will get rid of a lot of the service calls that happen for furnaces. So that's a nice change, really nice upgrade to the furnace. The second thing that I noticed, that on the control board on the side, we have a lot more inputs than we're typically used to seeing on these RV furnaces. So oftentimes when you get an error code on your furnace, it'll be a pretty generic error code because there's not too many inputs in there. I'm hoping that it's going to be different on this one, that we have a lot more diagnostic checks that we can do, so that you can, if you do have a problem, you can pinpoint that problem quicker, because you can see all those sensors are getting individual returns to that control board. And the wires that I'm seeing here as well, we see that we have the positive and negative for installing this. Then we also have the wires to use their thermostat. But if you have like an in-command system, they have the wires in order to connect it to that system as well. So if you wanted to integrate it into your in-command system that's already on your RV and still be able to control it that way, that's what these are for. But let's get into installing this and see what we can learn from that, and then see how it is to actually use this unit. As far as the install, it was pretty straightforward, with a couple of important side notes that would have definitely made it go faster. First, I prepped it by knocking out the outlets for the ductwork. This can be installed horizontally or vertically, so I knocked out the ones that were going to work for our setup. First important side note that would have helped our install was the propane connection sticks out just a little from the frame. I ended up having to install a 90 on here, again, just because our RV is so short in this storage area. But I'll put a link down in the description to a 90 that would have worked better than this, but this was all I could find locally at the hardware store. So the one in the link will be a single piece rather than having to have 3 pieces for my 190. But once I got that put on and tested, I switched over to installing the ductwork on here, and those just twist right on. Again, matching what's typical in the industry standard. The last thing to get it working is connecting the wires. I had to extend the wires on the thermostat to get it where we needed it to be, because I definitely wanted to try out their thermostat because it has a lot more features than your typical furnace. So it's just a couple of wires that needed extending, and then it was connecting that and connecting our 12 volt, our positive and our negative. So with those Wago connectors, that was extremely simple. So now we just need to fire it up, turn it on, and see how it does against the other claims. So having it fire up, it has a turbo mode. You can hear that fan immediately. We're gonna get a sound sample, compare it to the old furnace. But you can hear that fan actually dip down, and now it's telling us that it's igniting the flame in there. I could see how that could even help out just diagnosing things, seeing how the process goes and it giving you that information. So now I can hear that fan spooling back up, so definitely getting that variable speed fan. So let's get some numbers for what it's doing on turbo and then check out the other settings. So as far as the amount of air that it's putting out, our old furnace was putting out 19 to 20, and this one's putting out a solid 21. So a little bit more air output. Okay, so now let's see what happens when we put it on these other modes. So we put it on heat and we have sleep. And putting it on sleep, it brings that sound way down. Our original furnace was at 57 dB, and the Fogatti is at 56 to 57 dB, so about the same there. But then switching it down to sleep, we're around 39 to 40 dB, a lot quieter. The difference in sound is huge. Going between the turbo, the normal, and the sleep, it's a massive difference. So at night when you're trying to sleep, rather than having something that comes on that's so loud, you can have a choice of having it be less loud and not so much of a drastic difference of when it's on and when it's not on. And I imagine there's going to be people that want to use this when they're just watching a movie or trying to have a conversation inside. When that furnace usually kicks on, it's quite loud. And so being able to have that control of not have it be loud all the time definitely gives you more control and is a nice feature. One thing that I did notice is between the 3 settings that you have, the turbo, the normal, and the sleep, is you really get to toggle between the normal and the sleep. The turbo looks like it's an option that comes up when you're first turning on the system to be able to get that temperature up to where it should be. And then you have the 2 different modes that you can choose between, the sleep and the normal. But we also have the other settings of being able to choose how many BTUs we want to be able to receive out of this unit as well. So dialing that down to 17,000 BTUs, you can instantly hear that there's less air coming out, and that air is not going to be as hot. And then we step it up to 25,000 BTUs is the next step, and we can hear the fan go up just a little bit, and we're getting more heat out of it. Again, we step it up to 30,000 BTUs. Again, more output from the fan and higher temperature. And then we bring it back all the way up to the 35,000 BTUs, and we're back where we started. So far it's living up to the claims that we looked at in the beginning. It's absolutely quieter, especially when you put it on that sleep mode. The sound difference drops way down, and it's a drastic difference. And we do have more control over that sound and the BTUs that it's using. And I'd really be curious to see on which of those settings is it more efficient. Does it change the efficiency of heating the RV? Is one of those settings going to make you go through less propane to heat the inside of the RV? That would be an interesting test to do for sure. And they moved away from the sail switch. One of the most common problems with furnaces, they removed that and went with a pressure switch, which should be better for the reliability of the unit. And we're getting more troubleshooting information right here on the screen. So if we're having a problem and the furnace isn't lighting, hopefully it gives us the information right here and we know exactly what we need to do. Now, I did run into one hiccup where I had to call support, and it's where I'm not getting the ambient temperature on the thermostat in here. So when I'm setting the temperature, I don't know what the temperature is inside of the room. But I called them and they immediately said that they're going to send me out a new thermostat. So it's never good when you have to call support, but it's a good experience when you're only on the phone with them for 15 minutes and they're already sending you out a new thermostat. It's a good experience to be able to pass along. So like I said earlier, there's going to be links down in the description to everything that we talked about, to this furnace, to the fittings that we use. It'll be easy to get to, even in that first comment right down below. So as always, I hope this information helped you out. So if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video. Take care.